Cambodia for 4 days, and we're going to take our time exploring the Wats. We want to see everything, but we know that's impossible, so we're going to do our best and hopefully find the best sites.
In this episode, we're going to show you the famous Angkor Wat and surrounding temples. We'll also show you a floating village and share with you our thoughts on how best to approach a visit to Siem Reap.
We made it. I'm standing amongst the ancient ruins in Siem Reap, Cambodia. We're not visiting Angkor Wat today, but we're visiting the smaller, lesser visited temples. As you can see, we pretty much have this whole place to ourselves, and it's pretty awesome. Since Justin and I had plenty of time, we wanted to see more than just a small circuit. Many people, perhaps most, arrive for just 2 nights and 1 day. They spend 1 full day running around seeing all of the primary temples, including Angkor Wat, in what's known as a small circuit. If you're short on time, this might make sense, but it would be such a shame to miss out on so many of the other sites, as well as a visit to one of the floating villages. In order to visit as many sites as you can in a day, you must hire a car or a tuk-tuk for the day. A tuk-tuk is only $20 a day. Don't let them tell you otherwise. Excuse me, you're in my way. Excuse me. There will be plenty of tuk-tuk drivers who will try and cheat you and say that it's 30 for 2 people. Don't let it happen to you. We decided we would spend the first day seeing the large circuit temples. In the large circuit, the sites are far less crowded than the small circuit. The sites were awesome. Oh, I didn't notice you there. Now we're heading back into our tuk-tuk to head on to the next temple. Come on. Driver Ron. Come say hi. We liked Ron. He was a great tuk-tuk driver. He was always looking out for our platters.
Go to toilet, go to toilet, go to toilet.
This place is old. Sure, you'll see a lot of footage here that may look alike. Lots of sandstone blocks and temples. But where it gets really interesting is when you start to notice the nuances of each one. The ingenuity, artistry, and the magic that exists within. We like to close our eyes and just imagine the monks walking around in complete peace, living their lives, going about their day 1,000 years ago. I thought I saw a cat resting on top of a wall, but Justin didn't believe me.
What is she doing?
I couldn't tell for sure, but found a couple of nuts and decided to try and get her attention.
AdventureViV had to wake up this cat.
Aww, how sweet. Temple cat. Pretty cool. This temple is built in the middle of a lake which has incredible reflections.
This simple temple, Neak Poan, served as a hospital. The ancient Khmer people believed that going into these pools would cure diseases. It was fascinating to observe the modern Cambodian locals worshipping after the tourists left. They came with offerings of food and empty jugs in exchange for the healing water.
Today we toured the Grand Circuit and saw all of these really awesome smaller Wats temples, and we're ending our day watching the sunset over this beautiful reflective lake, and we can't wait to see the rest of what Siem Reap has to offer. Today we're visiting temples that are outside of the Siem Reap region. They're a lot further away, but they're also a lot quieter. It's just us again. Come on. Many of the sites are in complete ruinous state, only partially put back together and reinforced. It really looks like something out of a movie, but it's real. The building blocks of these ancient temples have tumbled and crumbled into giant piles. It gets even cooler when you venture into the jungle to see the temples that are being overtaken by ancient trees. What an incredible and dramatic sight. It's completely mesmerizing.
No naps allowed here. You have to pay extra for that.
Now the real photographer shows up.
We had the temple to ourselves. And only when we were ready to leave did we notice the crowds arriving. We were fortunate to have a driver who knew how to time our visits to these temples in order to beat the busloads. There was often a small village at the entrance of any temple, which catered to tourists. When Viv noticed a young girl playing with a piece of paper, she decided to show her how to make a proper paper airplane and make it fly. The local boys were immediately intrigued by the master engineer on site and had to get involved.
Welcome home, darling. We just climbed to the top of the 7-tiered pyramid temple, and it's hot, but the views are absolutely incredible. What's really neat about the temples we've seen today is that they've all been taken over by the forest. The trees are growing through the rocks, and the land is just taking back the temples. Pretty neat.
Our final stop for the day took us south beyond Siem Reap, toward the famous Tonle Sap Lake. We would drive past many kilometers of rice fields in very low-lying areas. We arrived to a long and narrow man-made jetty where we'd board a boat and venture down some canals toward the floating village of Kampong Phluck. This is just one of 3 floating villages in the area. All of the homes and buildings are built on stilts, and it was amazing to see how normal life could be on the water. After cruising through the village, we arrived to take in the sunset over the lake.
Right now we're sitting on Tonle Sap Lake. We're waiting for the sunset, which I don't think there's going to be one because it's cloudy, but it was a nice boat ride anyway. It was really neat seeing the floating village because it's just a different life. We saw school children taking their boats, just rowing themselves home from school in their uniforms. I mean, instead of bikes, they get boats. So different. I can't imagine what that life would be like. Pilot is ready for takeoff. There it goes.
As you can see, many tourists come here, but there is space for all. A popular viewpoint is this wooden deck platform, which is clearly missing a few boards. Fortunately for us, a lady in a boat cruises around selling beer and snacks. She asked for $2 per beer. We agreed to buy 3 for $5 and shared one with our boat captain. The visit to Tonle Sap was a great way to break up our time between temples. Day 2 of exploring had come to an end. Our last day would finally take us to the much anticipated Angkor Wat, among other temples of the small circuit.
Today we'll be visiting the most popular sites in Siem Reap. Come on, let's go, we're going in. Crowds!
It's like Disney World.
It's really crowded, and it kind of sucks, but what are you gonna do? You have to come visit this place. I mean, it's beautiful, and it's really cool to walk amongst these ruins.
Even in these more crowded temples, if you veer off the path a little, you can discover quiet spaces and moments of peace. And when you look carefully, you'll find those special opportunities to connect with a monk who will pray with you for the full experience. Bayon stands out from all others because of its many serene, smiling faces. Once again, despite the crowds, it's another amazing sight. The large faces carved into the stone create a powerful feeling of intrigue, as if you're being watched over. It's believed that the smiles and closed eyes represent an all-knowing state of inner peace, and perhaps a state of nirvana. The faces evoke the four sublime states of Buddhism: charity, compassion, sympathy, and equanimity. If you're still watching, you're probably wondering if we're actually going to get to Angkor Wat.
All right, we're finally here. We're finally here at Angkor Wat. We saved the best for last, supposedly best. We've seen a lot of temples these past few days, so let's see what's really special about this one. Hilarious. This monkey came out of nowhere and just took this guy's entire bag of bananas and started immediately eating them. It had the whole crowd laughing hysterically.
A good friend of mine, Brian, gave us some advice about visiting Siem Reap. Stay for 3 days. After that, you're templed out. While we don't want to discourage anybody from enjoying amazing cultural heritage sites, Brian makes a good point. You can only see so many temples before you've seen enough.
It's hot, it's crowded, we're tired. We're not going up this time.
When are we gonna go up?
Too many people. Justin says we'll go up with the kids.
We think it's equally important how you plan your visit. Definitely include a day trip to the further, quieter temples in the Preah Vihear Province. And certainly visit a floating village at Tonle Sap Lake for a nice change of scenery. Finally, save Angkor Wat for your last day.
We just visited the famous Angkor Wat. It's time to head back to our tuk-tuk. We're actually running a little late and might be mad at us, but oh well.
Although Cambodia is not expensive, tickets to the temples and tuk-tuks add up. You'll end up spending more than you might expect. And it doesn't help that the US dollar is the preferred currency. That's right, Go to the ATM in Cambodia and you will withdraw dollars. Oh, and for those of you who subscribe to our YouTube channel and are awaiting your snail mail,
look what I got. More postcards. The post office lady back there, she tried to rip me off, but I called her out for it. Let's go send these. It may take a few weeks or months to get to you, or it may never get to you, but it's the thought that counts. Here we go.
Wow, adventureViV. That's a lot of postcards.
Oh, all right, we're good. Let's go get some lunch. I'm hungry.
I'm sweating. Here's my boss, adventureViV. She's a really good boss. She's kind of demanding sometimes, and she doesn't take instructions very well. Centuries, centuries, centuries.
What?
Even though I work for her, I have to tell her what to do.
Do this, do that.
adventureViV is breaking the rules.
I never break the rules.
And she complains a lot. The wonders of the world.
What?
adventureViV. She is the wonders of the world. Speak up.
These ruins are
Speak
so...
up.
Wat cat, wat cat.
What cat?
Wat cat. What? Cambodia is awesome. Pineapple on a stick for just $1. Come on, we gotta catch selfies. Selfie?
Selfie squad.
Selfie. Wait, turn around. This is the biggest spider we've ever seen. It's so big that there's a spider crawling on this gigantic spider, and it's terrifying.
Starting to rethink this whole chasing summer thing because I'm sticky and wet every day. Now, I don't know why we're in the jungle when I should be at the beach.
What?
But I'm sick of being sticky and wet. It's gross. It's gross.
You sweating down there?
Yeah.
Why?
It's hot.
It's gonna rain.
I'm hungry. adventureViV hungry.
This girl is always trying to make me take selfies with her.
He loves it.
What is the
He
point?
loves selfies. Come on.
Oh.
Selfie time.
What?
Postcards for all of our YouTube subscribers.